Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Chakras and Cusswords podcast. My name is Katherine. I am the podcast host, and today we are going to talk about the astrology dates for the upcoming month of August 2023. And before we know it, the summer will be over. I feel like this time is really flying by, especially the summer is kind of like flying by super fast. So before I get into the astrology dates for August, I'm going to do a rundown of some of the important events that happened in the month of July. And as always, I am recording still in July. It is actually 7/23 at 3:35 p.m. for those who happen to care. But let's talk about some of the events that have happened in the month of July that I think are kind of important to some of the astrology that transitioned around that time. So in the beginning of July, we had a full moon in Capricorn. And what I noticed, there was a lot of energy that was definitely kind of transitioned with like world leaders in Australia. There was approval for them to be able to use psychedelics. And also there was a big power conflict with the areas of Guatemala, because there was a lot of riots, and also there was riots in France. So I thought that was kind of interesting, as it was a full moon in Capricorn right around July 1st to the 3rd was the actual full moon. We've been noticing a lot of flooding, heat waves, and a lot of areas of landslides this upcoming month in July. I think it's going to continue on July 10th. There was a huge transition in the cosmos, as one might say. We had Mars entering Virgo, and we also had Mercury entering Leo. And what was interesting on that day is India had a lot of flooding. There was also areas of floods here in the US as well. And we also had that new app of Threads, which was created by Mark Zuckerberg. And that was actually created, I believe, around July 6th. But by July 10th, Threads has become the most downloaded app in all history, with the shortest amount of time, with over 100 million users in just 5 days. And I kind of say that must be that Mercury entering Leo energy, because on July 10th, it was announced that Threads was definitely like this upcoming app that has taken the world and definitely social media by storm. So I am now on Threads as well, because it kind of goes with Instagram. So if you have an Instagram account, it's just super easy to use Threads. The hard part is actually posting, right? Actually creating a tweet. It's kind of like Twitter, but it's a little bit different. They don't have trending topics yet, and I'm thinking that's because it's a new app. I mean, if you want to search something that's trending, I definitely recommend you go over to Twitter. But Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg were having all this drama. And Elon Musk was saying Mark Zuckerberg was stealing his ideas, and it was just kind of the talk of social media at this time of what beef was going around between these social media moguls that are extremely wealthy. So I don't understand why Elon Musk is even really that mad, considering he's like a billion, probably trillionaire. But he was, and he, of course, took to Twitter to blame Mark Zuckerberg and even challenge him to a boxing match. It was just very weird energy. Also around July 17th was the new moon in Cancer, followed with the North Node switching over to Aries and the South Node switching over to Libra. And then during this time, South Korea actually decided that they were going to provide more help to Ukraine. So I thought that was interesting because to me, with the Nord node switching to Aries, it kind of showed that other countries were getting involved in creating like this energy that felt a little bit spontaneous, and South Korea, besides the US, was taking another step of helping Ukraine. Then we had July 21st, and we had a sun in Cancer opposing Pluto in Capricorn. And this was the day that the US Federal Reserve launches that Fed Now service. So many people haven't heard about it, but it is actually kind of like a knockoff of Venmo and PayPal, where you can use money if you have, like, I'm assuming if you have some kind of bank account or federal account or maybe union account, that you can use the Fed Now service to instantly send somebody money. And many people who are like in the small business realm said that recently they've been trying to not really lie, but they've definitely noticed that now with Venmo and also with PayPal, if you send more than over $600, that you have to report it to the IRS. And also if you receive more than $600, it's considered reportable to the IRS. So a lot of people are thinking that maybe they're either trying to get rid of these new areas of transferring money, where they're going to promote this Fed Now services. We will see, right? Also, during this time, the white rice of India is actually now being banned due to, I believe it was flooding. So not banned like we're banning it, but the country of India decided they are no longer going to export the basmati rice because, I guess, of a rice shortage. So expect a increase in the grocery store for that, because India is actually one of the mass suppliers of white rice. So I thought that was kind of interesting. It happened around July 21st with the sun in Cancer opposition Pluto in Capricorn, which has a lot of energy towards definitely towards area of business with both of those elements. And then on July 22nd, we had Venus going retrograde. We had more flash floods, continuing this Mars in Virgo energy. And I do feel like sometimes when Mars is with our Earth sign, we tend to see a lot of areas with the Earth climate kind of come a hold. But in all honesty, it seems like this is going to be the trend regardless of where Mars is at, just because of all the influence of global warming and it's getting hotter and environment. So I definitely think we will be seeing more of that. Also, during this time, we had Brazil tightening up their gun control laws. So it is now a little bit more harder to be able to have access to a gun. I don't know. You can research that further. But also what is interesting around this time is we had the screen writer strike, the WAG strike, continue to go on since May 2nd, but then the actors actually, the SAG-AFTRA union, where Fran Drescher is I guess she's like a union rep, or she's one of the leaders, is showing support, and they decided to join with the screenwriters, and they are now on strike as well. So it's kind of this area where It happened right around Venus retrograde, but I feel like this really shows a lot of energy of Saturn in Pisces, and also with Neptune in Pisces, that area of dreams, and that area of the Pisces being the one that kind of contains the cinematic approach, kind of having this backlash. And a lot of people say that Saturn isn't going to be out of retrograde till about November. So maybe that's when the strike will end. So no more production, but it seems like some screenwriters or some producers are still continuing to produce, and some movies are being published, but they're saying that it's definitely going to slow down with this strike. Also, on July 13th, there was the Sun in Cancer sextiles Uranus. And what was interesting, I know I'm kind of like backtracking, but what was interesting with this is we had the Carly Russell case. And if you aren't familiar with the Carly Russell case, it kind of went like this. There was a 25-year-old nursing student who lived in Alabama, and she basically said that she saw like a toddler running on the highway, or she saw a toddler on the highway. She supposedly pulled over to call 911 and called her ex-boyfriend's sister, and she was missing. There was a lot of social media correspondence where social media and the Hoover police of Alabama were really involved looking for her, and comes to find out that she comes home around 2 days later. Of course, there was tons of searches, and it's sounding like she just made this huge plot to kind of have this conspiracy, or to have this hoax to get back at her ex-boyfriend. And with the Sun in Cancer sextiles Uranus, I feel like this is very rebellious. And what's also interesting about her is that it is believed that she is either a Sun in Cancer, or she's either a Cancer Sun or she is a Leo. But it's sounding like she is more a Leo. It's sounding like her birthday was July 22nd is her actual birthday. So that would make her a Leo. Of course, I don't know her full birth chart, but she is one of those cusp babies. So this is like this really angry energy of rebellion, and basically of the feminine kind of creating this disillusion. This case is very interesting. I totally got wrapped up in it, and it's one to check out if you haven't heard it, just to kind of get some background about it. So we're going to get into the astrology dates for the month of August. And I'm excited for the month of August. I feel like the month of August is going to be a good time to spend it with family, and also spend it at home. It's kind of like one of the warmer months, right? But August automatically starts off with that energy of you're going to want to socialize, and you're going to want to maybe get out there and meet new people, and also hang out with your friends, and really make a difference in creating some everlasting memories, as we have a full moon in Aquarius. Also around this time, we have a high energy moment on August 1st. But this is definitely a time to spend it indoors. If there's like a heat wave where you live, there's like a total heat wave where I live right now. It's like disgustingly hot. But we have Mars in Virgo trines Jupiter in Taurus, and this energy is one that's going to be making you feel more divine into stepping into new goals, and even stepping into creation of action, and becoming more of a motivated source to get the job done, which you totally can. Also, the same day, we have Mercury in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces. So even though you might feel like you have this list of goals to do and you do have a head on you to get them done, it sometimes is like that day that it feels like obstacle or achievement. Obstacle or achievement. And just give yourself mind that you have the ability to create that achievement. Don't let the regulations of setbacks or the obstacles kind of get in your way. So it's kind of like this dual energy, right? We have that energy of Mars in Virgo trined with Jupiter in Taurus that feels vibracious and feels centered and feels very fixed and feels ready to take on the world. But then we also have this Mercury in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces, which kind of makes us feel like maybe our communication, maybe to ourselves, is letting us down, and is also maybe having us put our head down instead of having our head straight up with our chest out and saying, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to take it on. I'm going to take on the world. Have no fears. You can totally do it. Even when it feels like a big obstacle. We also have on August 15th, Juno enters Leo. And this is about a little bit more of, Juno's that little asteroid that is kind of centered around relationships and also around commitments. And then we have the Leo that is seen as this solar plex, almost like energy that's very dominant, masculine, and it kind of puts that confidence where it could sometimes overlead to ego. But we want to be thinking with the confidence in the relationship and letting us know that we have commitments, we have center about where we are and who we want to be with. But if our commitments are starting to feel more like torture chamber, I'm all tortured, but if our commitments are starting to feel like more like just not even being present, then it might be time that you clear that circle, clear that relationship. And definitely take time to like let the confidence of having that tough conversation come up. Also, right around this day, we have a new moon in Leo. And this is the energy that I want you to find some creativity, also find some like willpower deep down in that energy of your brave self, of creating more of a passion and creating some areas where you feel truly divine in taking some steps towards some new manifestations, maybe towards some new intentions that you wouldn't usually use or you wouldn't usually see. When I think of the Leo, I always think of that sun energy, how vibracious that sun energy is. Try not to be overwhelmed with it and try not to be overwhelming to others. Like sometimes I think that we forget how sometimes our energy might not match everybody else's energy, and it's okay to take it down a notch, and understand that sometimes people don't have the same creativity and they don't have the same passion as we do, but that doesn't mean that we're going to stop doing what we're supposed to do or are meant to do or desire to do. It just means that maybe we don't get upset when they don't show the same enthusiasm behind it, because this is our journey. This is our area of passion, and it's not for everybody, right? And sometimes it's a good thing when we aren't for everybody. And that's something that we should expect, is that we are just not always for everybody, and that's okay. And that is happening on August 16th, the new moon in Leo. Also on August 22nd, we have Venus in Leo squares Jupiter in Taurus. Not a very, not a day that we are going to want to do a whole bunch of things. It might be a day that we just kind of like chill out, right? And hang out at the house, maybe try to control some of our area of overindulgence, of overspending, or overly feeling distracted with maybe like finances. Try to do some things that don't necessarily cost a bunch of money if you can. Also, that same day, we have Mars in Virgo opposing Neptune in Pisces. So this is actually a day that we might feel a little bit hard on ourselves, especially when we have that energy of Mars in Virgo opposing such a placement as Neptune in Pisces, as Neptune being in its home area, because we might feel like a little bit distracted with some of our consciousness. We might also feel a little bit like we are losing who we are, and we're losing some of our battles, and maybe our self-esteem is a little bit at that area where it's kind of like, feels a little bit like we just took we just took a little bit of a beating, right? And we're usually our hardest critics, and don't let that area affect you in the roots. Don't let it affect you in your foundation. Like, continue to create new abundance and continue to create new areas of who you are. Also, we have the sun enters Virgo on August 23rd. So literally the 22nd and the 23rd are kind of like high days because this day just keeps getting bigger and bigger. So we have the sun enters Virgo, and I love the Virgo. I love the energy of the Virgo. I love that mental state, that analyzation, that energy of slowing it down, getting ready for fall. I mean, I don't know, with this heat wave, we'll see how we feel, right? But I feel like the Virgo kind of represents that entryway of, soon it's going to be fall. Soon things are going to slow down, cool down, and feel like a little bit more focused and analyze and be able to analyze what is going on around us. Also take this time to like pick up a good book. Take this time to kind of like find a book, find maybe a podcast, or find like my YouTube channel if you want to switch over to the visual aspect of some of the videos, having it in the background, whatever it is that kind of tingles your brain or taps into your mental ability to make you feel more connected to your emotional state. Also, this is an area to look towards your health and also look at your well-being, and have that mindset of continuing some of the goals that maybe we fell off on, or continuing to create towards the goals that we've been already creating towards, or just acknowledging how much you have achieved in these last few months. How much have you achieved in this year of 2023? What have you accomplished in that year? I love the Virgo because it does have that energy of the daily rituals. See how maybe you can add in a new daily ritual. And you're going to want to do this with a grain of salt, right? Don't be too hard on yourself. And the reason why is because also on this date, we have Mercury goes retrograde in Virgo. So we might be seeing some areas of taking a step back mentally, taking a step back maybe with areas of maybe areas where we're starting to acknowledge some of the setbacks. Don't overthink it, right? Remember, we can't stop life over Mercury retrograde. It sometimes makes us feel a little anxious, or makes us feel like it's going to be a little bit overwhelming. Also, with it being in its home energy, Mercury being in its home energy of the Virgo, we might feel like a little bit more anxious towards of how everything is adding up, how everything is just starting to feel like a cluster. So if a lot of obstacles or setbacks have kind of been happening, go ahead and just stop. Stop, like overthinking about them. Let them pass and just kind of take a new approach to it and also take a new step, but stay grounded, right? Stay rooted in who you are. Also stay rooted in your primary goals and stay rooted in the big picture, because short-term obstacles and short-term battles aren't what the big picture is, right? These are just little obstacles. And even though sometimes they feel like real big setbacks, we have to move past them. And that's kind of what like Mercury represents, right? Mercury retrograde represents is that overthinking and being over anxious and being over frustrated and being so tied into what has already happened that we can't change and just continuing to dwell on it instead of just saying, okay, I'm done dwelling on it and I'm going to let it go. Also, we have literally the next day, Mars in Virgo trines Pluto in Capricorn. So this is a day that you're going to actually want to spend it with maybe making another commitment with your relationships, if this is in business, family, or even with yourself, but just making more of a commitment towards somewhere in personal success or success of the relationship, also an area of success with a future tie, right? And where you see that area of transformation coming to the success, where you see that energy of what's next, of where it is that the next energy resembles. Also, when I think about this area of Mars in Virgo trines Pluto in Capricorn, it makes me feel like something is going to happen, maybe with maybe like a business or something that is centered around like communication, and maybe Elon Musk is going to figure out how to take threads out, right? Or people are going to still see that like Twitter is the best for whatever reason. I don't know. It's going to be something around like a everlasting commitment. Or maybe there's going to be an energy of a corporate giant kind of changing. And we've been seeing a lot of changes with the corporations lately. I've been noticing them, especially like a lot of businesses have been going out of business and just a big transformation. But there's always something new that you can spend your money on, right? No matter what. Also, on August 27th, we have a Mars enters Libra, which I think for this area of the relationship, because that Libra energy really resembles like relationship, and it also kind of resembles that harmony of balance and that energy of becoming one with maybe there might be like a little uptake with some of the areas of partnerships, not necessarily like if it's a personal partnership, but we also might see some partnerships begin to dwindle away that kind of felt like they were really in it for the long run. We have been seeing like a lot of relationships, and it's funny that they always kind of have like that 7-year itch. I can't really remember who I was reading about, some Hollywood couple that just broke up, and they were saying like 7-year itch. And what's interesting is what happens usually with the relationship is there's a the Saturn tends to go over, I believe, the seventh house, usually within the relationship of the 7 years. And it creates this area where people tend to get bored with each other in the area of like cooperating, or maybe not necessarily, but the energy of commitment might kind of go down, and the energy of agreements and what was once a contract and a union starts to feel like more constricted. And that's kind of what Libra represents. So it'd be interesting to see if like a dynamic duo that we always thought would be together forever kind of breaks up, or maybe somebody who is in an area of business, like two businesses decide to cut ties. So that's kind of what I would see, or it might even be a good start to create some new areas of relationship and unity, especially with the Mars entering Libra. You want to take that first step. You want to take that fiery approach, right? That fiery passion for the next couple of weeks, right? I think it will be there for about 4 weeks or so. You might want to use that energy to kind of create a everlasting balance and a commitment. So that's on August 27th. Also on August 30th, we have a full moon in Pisces, and I believe this will be like a super moon, because this will be the second full moon of the month of August, and it will be a full moon in Pisces. And this is a time that we want to let go of, maybe if we've been worrying or we've been holding a lot of energy, and we've also been holding like a lot of baggage towards the energy of just feeling overwhelmed and feeling like we can't move forward. Also, what is important with this full moon in Pisces, it is really the harvest moon. So this is a time to think of ways to stay optimistic and ways to look towards the future, especially as we go into fall. And even though it's probably still going to be so hot, especially if you are like in one of the states or countries that is like going through the heat wave, I do feel like it's going to be a very hot October, and it's probably going to go all the way through the time of maybe even a little bit of November too. It's going to be interesting. But this is a time that you are going to want to accept that energy of your spiritual sense and your inner connection and your inner peace. I love the area of finding what it is that your dreams kind of tell you. So this would be like a cool night to like sleep with the window maybe open if you can, or sleep with like the blinds up to get in all that full moon energy and see what your dreams say, right? And I heard this quote that sounds super cool, and it was like, if you remember your dreams, those aren't dreams, those are messages. So what is the message like for you? So I wanted to talk about one day in August. I didn't really do it in chronological order, but it's not necessarily like an astrology date too much. It also has a lot of legend and energy of, I guess you could say, a little bit of folklore magic. So we have the 8/8 Lion Gates portal, which happens on August 8th. And this event occurs every year, and it kind of occurs between a cluster of July 28th and August 12th, but it's known for its peak energy on 8/8. And what this is that the sun in Leo and the earth and Orion's belt and the star Cyrus, I always say Sirius, Cyrus, are lined up into a pattern, which it is activated by the rising of the star Cyrus. So a lot of people believe that this energy is very sacred and it's very in tune with the area of infinity and also the area of manifestations and creating a deep connection to the cosmos and creating that energy of knowing what is next, right? Of knowing what can be next and what takes place in this place of alignment. Since this event has been happening, a lot of people call it Lionsgate Portal and use it as a day for manifestation. Another thing that is interesting is that they say that this is also a time per Egyptian, I guess you could say, old world cosmic legend, that there's this period in time where the sun in Leo and Earth and Cyrus move into a complete alignment with the pyramids of Giza, which is in Egypt. And also in Hindu, it is known as the dog star, which is known as Savannah, and the dog of the king, right? So, I'm such an animal lover. And then I've also heard the story of how there is a goddess, and I totally went blank on her name, but I'm going to share the meditation that I wrote for her, and how it says that she used to hold the gates of the 8-8 portal that would open up. So when people would come to, I guess, the area of this dimension or this area of destiny, that she was this energy of the star that would basically hold the gate and keep it moving in a way where she was like protecting it. And also she was allowing people to have their own sacred entry. Like she was kind of saying, yes, you could come towards the gate and create your manifestations, or no, not at this time. So look out for that meditation, because I think I am going to release that story before I release the throat chakra meditation, because I know we are doing some of the morning chakra meditations. So I wanted to thank everybody for listening to this podcast. If you would like to support Chakras and Cusswords, please go ahead onto the website chakrascusswords.com and pick out a shirt, or you could sign up for a birth chart reading, or you can purchase an item from the website. But thank you so much for listening. Please like, comment, share, and have an amazing day. Bye.